all 32 teams playing in one night? Is the NHL onto something here? Well, hello there. How are you beautiful people? Welcome back to Pucked Up. We're trying a new intro here. Try to make this personal, intimate. We're trying to form a connection with you guys.
I don't like I feel like this is one of those really this is one of those like video recorded date applications from those old like 80s and 90s dating sites.
Oh my god.
Right?
With the
guys,
like palm tree in the background.
Hello. I'm Mr. Right.
Oh my god. But hello,
This is your
everyone.
chance
I've seen the one
to be
that,
Mrs.
like,
Right.
dude was an actual
so
serial
bad.
killer and did one.
That is
Yeah.
terrific. Oh, but
Well, I mean,
none-
not first victim.
Please,
You know,
please don't. Did you say not to be a victim?
Chris said that's terrific. I said, well, not first victims. Anyway, let's keep it
Anyway,
moving.
welcome back to Pucked Up. I'm Chris. Joined with me as always are the two other parts of my brain that are alive, I guess. D and Danger.
We're the other hamsters in
The other
Chris's brain
hamsters
that have
in
fallen off of the wheel, and we've started a riot.
Mhm.
And a
Yes. Yes.
mutiny.
Yeah, we're keeping that intro. That was brilliant. That went exactly how I wanted it to go.
And y'all gave me shit about my intro last week. I don't even want to hear it.
Now,
Oh my
your
God.
intro was fine last week.
My intro's aggressive. every
It was
week.
so aggressive.
What? You do come in hot every week.
I come in hot every week.
More than me.
Next week, I'm
Uh,
going to pull a page from Chris's book and try a dating video.
Hey there.
See how it works.
Nice to see you.
How
Hello.
you doing?
Listen, this is how you get views. We're making people fall in
Right.
love with us.
I'm
One of
pretty
us.
sure that's not how you get people to fall in love with you, Chris.
No, it's not. Listen,
No.
just with the whole love thing, I've just basically gotten lucky my entire life, so I don't.
That's fair.
Oh my god.
I've just lucked into that shit. But nevertheless, we are, as of time of recording, a part of something cool the NHL is doing called Frozen Frenzy. D, would you
Yeah.
like to tell us what that is?
I would love to tell you what that is. So this year, they are having all 32 teams play on the same day, which is today. NHL has dubbed it Frozen Frenzy. It's on ESPN, ESPN Plus, ESPN2, ESPN Central, ESPN Negative, ESPN Polar, Ice Cap.
It's ESPN 8,
There's so many
Ocho.
ESPN properties. Like
Did
it
you
is.
just say
I can't.
ESPN negative, but not ESPN plus?
Yeah,
I did.
Just wanted to make sure that I heard that correctly. Carry
that
on.
was terrific. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. It is going to be hosted by. Well, it has been hosted. By John Bucky Gross.
Butcher
of the
Gross.
NHL Red Butcher Gross, whatever.
Butcher
He's on the
Gross.
NFL Red Zone. That's a different thing. They staggered all the game times.
Mhm.
So like my game started at 6. My game obviously being the Maple Leafs versus Caps game. Bruins versus Chicago, 8:30. Flyers versus Vegas Golden Knights starting at 10. And there were other games in those time slots as well, but those were the main ones.
It's like a
airing on ESPN.
15-minute aggregated time interval. Yeah, it's like 15 to 20 minutes sometimes. Like I know Anaheim's game ended up getting pushed back because of power outages in
Which can't be
Columbus.
helped.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like
I
they had to
was
push the
just
game back
about
like
to
2
ask
hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but games are like staggered from 6 to 11, which I think is really cool. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that in the past they've had games all play on the same day, but this is the first time that they, have aired it this way,
Yeah.
which I think is really awesome. I think my least favorite part of it is that it's on ESPN Plus, ESPN whatever,
Yeah.
ESPN all the time. Only because I am such a stan for my hometown announcers that
Yeah.
like it physically pains me when I have to listen
It-
to other people talk.
Yeah.
But
it
that's
does
just a
get
me
really
thing.
rough.
Yeah, see,
No,
Yeah.
I'm right there
love-
with you because when it's not like I'm not a huge Bally fan, but I like my Bally announcers, like our
Yeah.
Same.
in crowd.
Same.
Right.
So yeah, no, I totally get that because it changes it.
we've
Yeah.
had
Well, we have our own network now,
Yeah.
Monumental Sports Network. That's where all of the Washington area teams have their games.
Oh, okay.
But it was started by the owner, Ted Leonsis, for the Washington Caps. But yeah, that's where we have Joe Beninati, who Chris is familiar with.
I am, yeah.
Yeah. And Craig Laughlin, as well as Alan May and Alexa Landestoy. See how I know like all the names? Because I
You
watch
do.
this shit
Yeah.
too much.
I'm proud of you.
Too
Tonight is
much.
actually the first game that I have missed of the Wild.
Yeah.
Because I was traveling. As you can see, I'm not my normal.
She's not in
Yeah.
Kansas anymore, folks.
I'm not in Kansas anymore.
But she's close
true.
to it.
I've traveled to the deep south.
Yeah.
It's like
not
she's
really.
not in Kansas, but she's close.
I am
Right.
very close. Actually, very, very close to Kansas City, which I think isn't Kansas City in Missouri and not Kansas anyway.
There's two of
Anyway.
them. They're both.
Yeah,
So
it's like one of those weird cities, just like not St. Louis. There's another border city. Anyway, my brain doesn't function properly.
It's like the same city that's in two different states. It's wild.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, technically, like Fargo is one like that.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks it's North Dakota. It's not. It's Minnesota.
Yeah.
Or
Well, there
vice
you go.
versa. Or both.
But
I
yeah,
don't
we've
know.
had, let's see, 1, 2,
But yeah.
3, 4, 5.
But no, I'm with you, though,
7
like-
games finish.
Anaheim,
So far
I
then?
am obsessed with Anaheim's just their commentary team, because it's like from when I was able to actually start watching Ducks games, these are the people that I've been listening to, you know? Like John
Yeah.
Allers, Brian Hayward have been for the better part of at least the last decade that I can remember, you know? And now they've
Well-
transitioned through all these different things. Now we're also a part of
Mhm.
Bally Sports, but you know, so I get you being, you know, you want to hear your home announcers because what you're used to.
Well, it's
Right.
not just that though. I mean, being that I watch every game that I can that I have access to, there just are some other announcers in the league that I'm like, wow, you're just not as good at this.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's none from any of your teams. I won't name the team that I had this recent issue with, but I was like, there's like dead air here. Why is
yeah.
that
Oh.
happening? You
That's
don't
like-
even really seem
yeah.
that pumped up about your own goals. Like there was stuff like that I was like, this is such a disappointment. Like, where's the energy? And then not only that, for me, Joby and Locker have such a great camaraderie.
Yeah.
And not every announcer duo has that. They're just
No.
like people who work together. And I love the camaraderie because to me, that is what so much of my hockey journey is. It's why we have this podcast, right? It's
Mhm.
because we're
Right.
friends who talk about hockey. So it's less like that it's hometown and it's what I grew up with, and more that it's their connection and their dynamic, and then just the fact that they're really good at their job.
Right.
Right.
But y'all's announcers are good too when I do get to hear them,
Yeah.
which largely I don't.
Right.
well, and
just
like
because
I
it
know
doesn't
for the
happen.
Wild, at least, like Ryan Carter does a lot of them, and he played in the NHL. He actually, I think, played for the Wild. Even.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Gorg, who actually used to work at the high school that I went to,
Oh no shit.
and
Mhm.
nobody fucking believes me, but I'm like, no, I know him from where I graduated from.
That's cool.
But like it's fun to have local people call your games too, because
Yeah.
they're also more invested in your team, and so they know
Mhm.
the ins and outs, and they've talked to the guys, and I mean, it's just more fun to listen to, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's such a
But I
different
mean, the
experience.
cast announcers are very
like-
similar to that too.
It's
Yeah.
such a different experience for you guys as opposed to me, because you guys live in market of your favorite teams. My favorite
Yeah.
team is on the
Yeah.
other side of the country. I'm in the Northeast. Like
Yeah.
I should be a Bruins fan if we're going geographically. Bruins fan, Rangers fan, Islanders fan, like that is like my area. But I'm a
Right.
fan of a team on the other side of the country. So for me,
And
I don't have the same like I don't want to say I don't have like
Yeah.
the same relationship with like my local, but like this is what
Yeah.
I remember listening to, whenever I could watch games before like
Right.
Center Ice existed, before ESPN
internet,
bought the
yeah.
rights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not really before the internet, before
Back
like
when
I
we
could
wrote it
legally
was
No,
get
fun.
but
the
before
streams.
streaming
Yeah.
on
Right.
yeah.
Legally at least.
Right.
yeah,
But yeah, that's the crazy part is it's totally a different experience for me.
right.
because I'm not even like close
Yeah,
enough
no,
to take a
that's
road
fair.
trip to go to a Ducks game. Like I would have to hop on a
Right.
fucking plane for 6 hours.
True. I will
Very
say the
fair.
one thing I have loved about the Frozen Frenzy coverage has been obviously PK Subban has been there for the intermission reports for a lot of
PK,
these
yeah.
games.
Oh, PK's a
And
gem.
you know, he is very fun to listen to. I do enjoy
Yes.
him as an analyst, and also killer outfits every time.
Oh,
Like
he
he
did-
is always there to show up and show out, and I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, he always
He's not
looks
just
good.
going to show up in a basic, boring ass suit.
He's not gonna Messier
black
it
suit,
and
red
just
tie.
show up in the same
Right.
thing every
I mean,
every
I didn't say
time.
it.
I'm Messier.
I
I,
didn't say
love
it.
you. You're one of the best, but goddamn.
Yeah, put in some
Yeah.
effort, homeboy.
Yeah, that's fair.
But what's cool about PK is yes, he's a personality. He's got character.
Mhm.
He's funny. But if you listen to how he talks, you understand the hockey IQ that this man has. And
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a reason that his career was so long. Is then the reason people kept him around even when he wasn't performing well is the dude is so smart when it comes to the sport. So, you
Mhm.
know, that
Yeah.
that sort of thing is so like it's so beneficial to have.
So
Agreed.
a question for about PK. Like, and I think he has a long career in broadcasting ahead of him.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you ever see him becoming a coach?
Like
I think his talents
I
are
think it
better
would-
suited in broadcasting.
yeah.
I agree. I was
And
just
that's
gonna
not
say,
a
I
knock
think,
towards him.
yeah,
I think
No,
he
not
would
at
be a
all.
good coach because
I
of
think-
his knowledge ins and outs of the game. But I agree. I don't think his future, or no, I don't want to say I don't think his future is. I don't think his best work for the league and the sport would be as a coach.
Mhm. Correct.
fair. But I do think that, like, especially younger players, and maybe it could be running camps or something before
Oh yeah.
broadcast season starts.
100%.
But with that true hockey IQ, I mean, there's so much to learn from him.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
I think if they did like a pay-per-view style training camp for young kids through like an
Mhm.
ESPN or something like that and had PK as the coach for that, I think that would
Yeah.
do well, honestly. I would love to see more networks do something like that where
Yeah,
because
that
you
would
do
be
see it so much in the local markets where we have we spend a lot of time talking about our like Nick Backstrom recently went to coach for a Little Caps kind of a situation. Stuff like that is really bringing hockey into the community, and you have these great big names who are doing stuff for people who will one day maybe play on the same team, wear that same jersey, or maybe
Right.
wear an opposing jersey, whatever. I think that if we were to see it come from a higher level too, I think that would do nothing but good things for the sport.
Yeah.
yeah.
I just hope as a youth coach, I hope Backy teaches those kids how to pass to Ovechkin. If I get hurt, who's
fair.
Backy gonna pass the puck to? What then? I
What-
love that
That is
commercial
such
so
a good
much.
commercial.
That's so
Hey,
good.
look at
It's
that.
such
It
a
Why
good
is he
so,
always
so
over
good.
here for breakfast?
Yeah.
So I'm
Right?
so confused.
Yeah, like, why is he in here?
Yeah.
Why is
Ah.
Backy
It
always
is so,
here?
so good.
But no, that is a great
Love
question
it.
to ask, and I think that that's an important thing to look at.
Mhm.
When you gauge young, like older players that are on their way out of the sport, or players that have been retired for a little bit that you want to see back into the league, or just the sport in general in some aspect. And I think broadcasting is such a viable option now.
Yeah.
Yeah, much
And
more so than
that's
it
im-
used to be.
Yeah, and that's important because you want. I've always found the best insight are from players that played within the last 5 years, because
Yeah.
they know the league better than
Right.
like the Messiers or when Gretzky's on, or etc.
Yeah,
but-
isn't to say that they don't have insight, but they don't
Yeah.
have insight as to what the league looks like now
Yeah.
from the perspective of a player.
Like the league looks
It's
so different
different.
compared to that, 20, 30 years ago. And like someone like PK is still freshly retired. Same with even
Yeah.
when like Patrick Sharp is on stuff. He's like, he's been out of the league a little while, but he's another one that's still got fresh perspective on the league and what it looks like and where it's heading. And
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I agree.
I just want to point
I
out
guess to
that the
close out
Ducks
the-
just won in overtime.
I was just gonna type you a
Frank
message.
Petrano
Actually, I was
scored
like,
the game winner.
"Congrats!"
I saw it when you guys were talking. I looked up and I saw he had a breakaway, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna scream, but fist pump.
Yeah.
Let's go."
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah, and I was very confused for a long time because like it said it was 2-2, and like that was the final. I'm like, why is that the final score? You know,
Mm-hmm.
but it
Frankie
just took
V.
ESPN that long to update. Their
Dude, that's
scores.
Petrano's like
Yeah.
fourth goal or fifth goal of the season already. Because he started the season with a hat trick. Well, he didn't start the season, but he started with the home opener of the hat trick.
Very nice.
So I would just say to close out the Frozen Frenzy topic,
Yeah.
I really like this format. I think that the NHL should continue doing it. Having all the teams play on one night, I think we're going to see better numbers of people tuning in
Yeah.
across all platforms. So
I'm
for it.
curious to
I
see
like it.
what the numbers look like, the TV ratings after this.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's like, you know, because and maybe it's not in every region, or I forget how they divvy it up, but like we have the hockey day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like they're not all like we have a hockey day of Minnesota every year, but it's not always televised. The last one was televised
Yeah.
was
Right.
a horrible game against St. Louis.
I
But
feel you.
you know, so I like the idea that like yes, you could watch, you know, an evening full of hockey, but eventually still get to see your team.
Mhm.
Like it's not here. We've hand selected what teams you get to watch today. Like I mean,
Right.
that could
Yeah.
be said about any day. But yeah, it's a special event, but you still get to like watch your team perform, which I think is
Yeah.
something cool and
Yeah.
different.
Absolutely.
You know what isn't different? Is
Me?
the hurt that Vegas is putting on everyone already to start the season. I want to throw
But
this out
Vegas
there.
Yeah.
also isn't the only one.
No, but
They're about
they
to
are,
drop
in
puck here in a
fact,
minute.
the first defending Stanley Cup champion in NHL history to start the season 6-0.
Yeah,
me throw
that,
some
that
numbers
is
out at
fair.
you.
That is fair. But they're
Aiden
not
Hill.
the only six.
No, well, there's two. It's them and the Bruins. I don't know how the Bruins are undefeated. I've watched them play so
Aren't the
far, and
Avs
they're a
undefeated
little
too?
sloppy. I don't believe
I
so. I
just
believe
see
it's just the Bruins and the
Or maybe the Avs have just
Red
played
or
more games,
Bruins,
and so that's why
and-
their standing is the same.
No, the Avs are undefeated.
Okay, I thought I saw that, but no
Yeah,
shocker
so,
there.
all right,
Like the
so,
Avs
yeah.
are the Avs, you know.
And again, they're
but
doing it
yeah,
without
no, I get what you're
Landeskog,
saying about.
which is also
Yeah,
shocking.
that's true.
Yeah.
That is very
Um,
true.
But like some fun stats. Aiden Hill is 4-0, obviously. Goals against average 1.73 in 4
Wow.
games. Power play wise, their power play percentage is 27% right now. That's 9th in the league. That's top 10.
Okay. Not
Wow.
bad.
No, like that's solid. So I guess the real question is, are you guys surprised that Vegas is just continuing to fire on all cylinders?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I'd say yes because we typically haven't seen a season like this immediately after a team has won.
Yeah,
the
I was gonna
Stanley
say
Cup.
not
Right.
like
Usually
this.
they're like they kind of
No.
they slump a little. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better way of saying it with actual words. But but I'm not surprised because Vegas is a great team and they
Yeah.
have been
Yeah.
a great team. I hate to admit that because we go against Vegas
Yeah.
quite a bit, but they're a great team.
Yeah.
They are.
But yeah, it so I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised
they're
it's
doing it.
Vegas. I'm surprised that it's happening.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I'm surprised that they are doing it immediately after winning the Stanley Cup
Well, I mean,
versus just doing it.
and think about it
Right.
this way: who did Vegas lose in the offseason?
I don't remember. That was so long ago,
Exactly.
Chris. Why are you
They
asking me
Nobody.
that?
they didn't really lose
Nobody that
anyone.
mattered.
That team is virtually unchanged.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still having their goalie issues too, which is crazy.
Well,
Which to
I
me
think
is like, what are the
they found
are
their number one. I
yeah,
feel like it's
what's the
hard to
future
say.
for these goalies that are coming back? You know what I mean?
Would you?
Right.
Well, I guess that's the
Why would you
question.
fuck up with a good thing?
Why would you mess with Aiden Hill is 4-0. Logan Thompson is 2-0. He's also got,
Yeah.
I think, what
Logan
did they say?
Thompson's
His goals against average is also like either 1 or like 2. It's pretty
Yeah.
low. And I mean, he was their guy last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he had to be their guy because
That's what I mean. I
until
would be
he-
like
Well,
shitting my
yeah.
pants if I were there are other goalies that are currently out on injury.
Well, because Leonard was out all of last season, right? Or
Yeah,
damn
and-
near
Yeah.
it.
yeah,
If not
and
the
Leonard's
whole season.
probably
That's
going to
what
be
I
out a
thought.
good amount this year too. So,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
yeah, I don't envy Bruce Cassidy.
Right.
I don't envy Bruce Cassidy to have to make
No.
that sort of decision, because
Yeah.
Aiden Hill literally won you a Stanley Cup. That
Right.
fucking he put that team on his back
Yeah.
Literally.
and literally proved why he should be the starting goalie. And how do you deny, that level of success right away? So I feel like this is probably the most least shocking team in the last 10 years as a champion
Yeah.
to do it.
Again, I'm not surprised that
Yeah.
it's them. I'm just surprised
Right.
that it's
That it's-
happening,
yeah,
that
it's
we're
happening in
not
general.
seeing a slump.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Exactly.
Also, another cool thing that's happened is we're 2 weeks into the season, and the top 3 draft picks from this past year's draft have all scored their first career goal.
Which is
Congratulations.
crazy.
Shout out to them.
Yeah. I mean,
I know. It
Although,
took,
can I just say real quick, related to this topic, I saw the game winning or this is my first NHL puck, and they have their little picture.
yeah,
Can y'all just stop it with the
I know.
Right?
I have no
Like,
expression.
smile
I'm
and-
Give
devoid.
me a fucking
Like,
smile.
bitch,
dude.
smile.
Give me a
Be
smile.
happy. You won.
Yeah.
Celebrate. Have an emotion. We want to see that.
Yeah, give me
Like, I
something.
remember-
It's so upsetting to me. Why don't you just express emotions? We know you do it because we've seen the other videos in the locker room
We've
of
seen
y'all
you. We've seen
air
you
humping
score
each
on the
other.
ice.
Let
The
it-
fuck?
Yes.
Air humping.
Air humping.
That's such a great description of what they do in the locker room.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I remember Marco Rossi when he scored his first one, that was a goal that got taken away. So Foligno went and grabbed the puck. Didn't matter at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But then
yeah.
the next game, Rossi got his first goal since getting called up, at least full time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
It's obviously a
but-
big deal. Just maybe act like it when you take that.
Right?
fucking
Yeah.
picture, bro.
Yeah. You can show some emotion, boys.
Please.
It's okay.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're not robots. We don't think you're robots.
No.
But especially that's a big deal when you just come up in the NHL.
Right? Especially as a little baby boy.
You're
Oh,
just
yeah.
a
They're,
little baby.
So young.
Exactly. It's just a baby.
Just a baby.
So what's funny is Connor Bedard, obviously number 1 overall pick. It took him 2 games to score his first goal.
Correct.
Yeah, fuck you,
Leo
Con.
Carlson, Anaheim's draft pick, who went number 2 overall, scored in his first game. And then Adam
Congratulations.
Fantilli, who was drafted number 3 by Columbus, it took him 5 games.
Yeah.
But the other funny part is Connor Bedard's not leading rookies in points at all.
Yeah.
No.
Ridley Gregg, who is a rookie center for the Ottawa Senators, has 5 points on the season.
Which
He's
who
got a
saw
goal and
that
4
coming?
assists.
Yeah.
Yeah. But who would have thought Ottawa would have the number 1
Right.
rookie?
So it does make a lot of sense when you look at the
How
difference
Ottawa
in
is coaching.
I
up
was
their
going to say
younger
the rest
players.
of Ottawa.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
look at the rest of Ottawa and the players that they have, I would say they're a little more well-rounded right now than Chicago is, because
Right.
Chicago's really top heavy on their first 2 lines, which I get. That's what happens. It's stats hockey. That's the way the
Yeah,
sport
right.
shakes out. But and even Logan Cooley is ahead of Connor Bedard.
Right.
But it's wild. I wouldn't have expected I wouldn't have expected Bedard to, and not to say like he has 4 points
But-
on the season, but like
yeah, it's not like
yeah.
he's sucking up
yeah,
his time in the NHL, but like, yeah,
But
it's
he has so much pressure on him
well, that's
because
yeah,
so I can 100% understand if that pressure is tough to overcome. Like it's because it's invading every part of his life. People are asking him about every single aspect. He's so young, and I know that in interviews they're like, so are you learning to cook for yourself? Like, what do you do? And so he like gives an answer and
Yeah.
they keep pestering him, and he's like, okay, I'm lying to you right now.
yeah.
And so I
Right.
just like I can see in interviews that it's like he is having to navigate this whole new world
Yeah.
of like he was a superstar in the juniors, right?
and
And now he's
he's
come into like this
18.
world where he has to be the
Yeah.
kid that saves a fucking franchise.
Yeah,
Well,
He has
and
to
it's
save
not
the
only
Chicago
like
franchise.
he's figuring out how to be a player in the NHL and be an adult for the first
Yeah.
time.
Exactly.
Like that's 2 huge life events.
yeah,
the
One of
same
which
fucking
everyone
time.
goes through mostly.
and not to mention the
Arguably.
fact that he has the eyes of an entire country on him. Canada is dubbing
Yeah.
him the next thing. He's the next
Yeah.
Crosby. He's the next
The
McDavid.
next Ovechkin. Yeah, all
he's
of it.
that
But
type of
to
player
that
to
e-
them, and that's awesome. But he's fucking 18 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to that extent too, okay, look, and I've said it before in the podcast. I relate a lot of things to Wild players because I am a Wild
Right.
player. So, but look at like Kirill Kaprizov.
Kaprizov's
an
another one who had a lot of
amazing
hype once he got to the
talent.
NHL.
But
Yeah.
he can't even. I mean, he's scored a handful of times,
Yeah,
mostly because he gets double teamed every time he's on the ice, and not in the fun way. So, like, sorry, I just wanted to see what that would do to Chris's face.
that is good. That was
That was
good.
good. That was a good
That was
one.
good.
But like, so Connor's got to be getting the same kind of treatment where every time he's out on the ice, every player on the other team is looking for where he's at. You know, one of our announcers just in a recent game was like, "Oh, every time Matt Zuccarello is out on the ice, the other teams are starting to learn that they better figure out where Kaprizov is." It's like, no, they're not starting to learn this. They've learned it. They've been like this for 2-3 seasons
Right.
now.
Right.
But I think like that's not helping his case either. You know what I mean?
No.
Because he had so much hype coming in. Whereas like Dakota Mermis, who's another rookie player in the NHL, is doing phenomenally right now. But he is going to end up going back down to Iowa. And some of us fans are like, can we keep him over other players? Because he's doing so well. But again, it's that talent that like nobody sees coming when he's out on the ice. And even other teams are like, oh, who is this kid? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Connor definitely has that working against him too, all the publicity he's had.
If I were in Connor's position, it would be really hard to have every single play I made in the NHL scrutinized.
Yeah.
By every broadcaster, by every talking head, by every person with a fucking Twitter. Like, I can only imagine how insurmountable all of that feedback feels when you're getting it from all different sides.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel for the kid. Again, I have made my opinions very clear about how I felt about him going to Chicago's organization.
Mhm.
I think that he may be farther along in another area, like where they don't have to put the entire fucking franchise on his back.
Oh,
as much as
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I think if he had gone to Anaheim, you guys still have Zegras, who is still your fucking
we have
star.
Zegras,
Connor
we have
Bedard
McTavish,
wouldn't-
we have
But that's what I'm saying.
yeah, we have
Bedard wouldn't
so many young
taken that from
players.
Zegras.
No.
But he is
But-
taking that from Chicago.
Well, because
He
Chicago
is Chicago's talking
he
point.
is Chicago because Chicago got rid of Taze. They got rid of
Patrick Kane.
Patrick Kane. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was just bitching about Evander
the two-
Kane, so my
Yeah.
brain went. That's
The two
not the
players
right
that
one.
won that city's championships. But
Yeah.
so
Right.
I guess this leads
and
me
they
to
just went. Yeah.
yeah, this leads me to a good question, I guess. Do you guys feel like we as a like hockey community, being fans, teams, media, etc., do you feel like we put too much pressure and we have too high of expectations for young top 5 draft picks that come into the league? Like,
yeah, I will say, so like, again, speaking from the perspective of someone who is in the Caps organization, we had Crosby and Ovechkin come in, and from the start, they were pitted against each other of these two top stars battling it out. And for years and years and years, they had this rivalry that wasn't based off of anything about each other's personality,
Other
about
than
who
they were
were
the
as
two best
people.
players in the league.
They were just the two best players. And so now
Right.
they're in their fucking late 30s, finally figuring out how to be friends with each other.
Yeah.
They could
Right.
have been allies with each other years ago. But we
Well,
as
and
fans and
learning
as
from each
media,
other.
exactly. But
You
we
know.
made them play into this rivalry bit for our own entertainment. And I
Right.
think that did a disservice to both of them.
Yeah, and
Because
I
now
mean,
there's this eternal argument of like, well, Crosby's the better passer. Well, Crosby had more teammates, so of course he's a better passer because he had more people who could help them get further, and Ovechkin had to do it all himself. Well, Ovechkin's the better scorer. Well, Crosby has beautiful
Shut
goals too. Why are you
Right.
discounting that? Like,
but
it's this
what's
back and
done
forth.
that specifically is the fact that
Mhm.
that pitting those two players against each other created a rivalry between two franchises in general. It wasn't just a rivalry between
Oh, yeah.
Ovi and Crosby. It was like the Capitals Penguins rivalry in itself blossomed
Is
from those two
intense.
players, and now it's
Uh-huh.
so intense.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
20 years
Right.
ago, do you think Caps fans gave a fuck about the Penguins? They'd have been like,
No.
whatever, you know? I mean,
I
it's
mean,
different.
we just
Now you're
generally
divisional
don't like.
rivals, but like,
Yeah.
it's
Washington fans of sports generally don't like Philadelphia or like Pennsylvania
Yeah.
Pennsylvania in
teams. Like,
general.
there's
Yeah.
usually some kind of a rivalry there, so we always would
Yeah.
have had one.
But it
But it would've been
wasn't
so
what it is
minor.
now. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I
Yeah.
think that's a disservice. And I think that Connor Bedard is going to be an amazing talent. I don't want anyone to misinterpret what I say next because he is going to be an amazing talent.
Those top
I
three
think he's
picks
going
in
to
general.
be a case study. Right.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a case study in how media and how attention can fuck a player up.
And we've seen
I
that
think
in
he's
the
going to do great
past.
things.
We've absolutely
Look at how
seen
much
that in the
Absolutely.
past.
social media and all of that has changed, even in the pressure we do put on players since Crosby and Ovechkin.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the internet presence of hockey is completely different than it was
Correct.
even back then. So
Right.
yeah, he's going to be. But like touching on Chris's initial question too, I would expand it from even like the top 5 draft picks to every team's top draft.
Yeah.
pick.
That's also
All of
fair.
them are under scrutiny. You know,
Mhm.
And they're
it's
children.
a lot of pressure from our own
Yeah.
teams.
You know, like these
Yeah.
kids are coming out. They're like 18, 19. If you go to college, some of them may be 21, 22, depending on
Yeah.
if they go to college for all
But
4
still,
years. But still,
how
they
many
are
of us had
young.
shit figured out at 22?
I'm 30 and I still don't
I had
have
a kid
shit
at that
figured
point.
out. I don't
Right?
know
Yeah.
what the fuck I'm doing in life. I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm like Jack
same.
Sparrow, and I'm just fucking. It's all just going
I'm
how
here
it
for the ride.
goes. Yeah, I'm here for the ride.
Right.
I've given up on trying to figure life out, and I'm just, I'll go wherever the waves
Same.
take me at this point in my life.
Fine, I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah,
I'll
I
go
mean, it's-
this way.
But, right? Yeah, I'm like, fine, if you won't let me steer my ship in the direction I want it to go in,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
being famous and beautiful and, you know, having a lot
Ugh.
of money, then fine.
Right. One could dream.
Well, and this also leads back to, do you guys remember when McDavid and Eichel got drafted 1-2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
a big deal too.
Mm-hmm.
Although
Who else came in at this around the same time as McDavid, though?
Matthews,
Although
I will
Austin
say-
Matthews.
Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
The next
and,
year.
I mean, Krill's the same age as McDavid, isn't he?
Yeah, I think they got drafted in the same draft.
I think they got drafted in
like-
the same draft, but Krill was a lesser known name
Yeah. Well, he also
But-
had a lot of trouble coming over from Russia.
from
His
Russia.
his
Yeah.
like he wasn't able to get out of Russia right away.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, he had
when
to
they
spend
could,
his
they
2 years
yeah.
playing for Russia before he could come over to the.
But
Yes.
look at
NHL.
Eichel and McDavid, though. Are they the world's biggest fucking rivalry?
No.
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 And I think that some of that, has to be attributed to Crosby and Ovechkin
Yeah.
and
well,
to
absolutely.
where they were when when McDavid and Eichel came into the league. I would not be surprised if we hear later on down the line that Crosby went to Eichel and was like, "Hey, bud, don't let this rivalry become you. Don't let
Oh,
it become
yeah.
your personality."
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I would not be surprised if they got that feedback, and that's why we don't see them shit talking each other
yeah,
all over the place, like we
because
saw early on with Ovi
the
and
Crosby
Crosby.
Ovi rivalry, like there was a lot of, and
They
the
played into it,
players
yeah.
fed into it early on for sure.
Mhm.
But I don't think they
'Cause
knew
they didn't know
what
what else
else
to
to do. Yeah,
Yeah,
Exactly. So I would not be surprised if we hear later on that either Ovi or Crosby or the both of them was
Yeah,
like,
we're
"Hey,
like-
don't let the media create a narrative
Yeah.
for you.
Well,
Do it
yeah, and
yourself."
it's the same thing
Right.
with like
Because-
Austin Matthews. Does anyone know who went second in 2016? Patrick Laine. How do you see
hey,
a
we're
big
gonna
game?
talk about him later.
Yeah. Do you see a big?
Yeah.
Do you see a big deal when Columbus comes into town in Toronto? No.
No.
So
No,
I do
Again, I
agree.
think it's a
feel
lesson
like
that we've learned.
was
but
from
we-
Crosby and Ovi. This is what you shouldn't do.
And I'm glad to
Right.
see so many years later that they were able to really turn it
Yeah.
around and turn it
Yeah.
into a friendship.
Yeah, me too.
Because that says something to younger players too.
Oh yeah.
Because you're absolutely right in saying there hasn't been a rivalry fed into as much in the media.
Because
since
regardless
those two.
of who says, "Oh, well, this player's better," they are both champions. They are both two of the
Yeah.
greatest to ever play, and they are two Hall of Famers. Regardless
ballot.
of
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
question.
And
if they
I
if
do,
they are
like,
not
we've said it
unanimously
before, but
voted, I will fucking riot.
Yeah.
well,
The
and I
entire
want them to get
organization.
voted the same year. Like
hope they
that,
get in the same
that
year
would
too,
be
yeah,
the perfect kismet end to their story.
Yeah.
And I would love to see them come out together or, do something because
Yeah,
they
right.
both have great senses of humor too,
They
you
do,
know.
yeah.
Because that's
Um,
that's been the biggest story the last fucking like almost
Right.
20 years.
20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cuz who was it? You sent me the picture and it was Ovi doing an interview. He was acting as an interpreter for a newer player.
Yeah.
And he asked
for-
when
Yeah, Ivan
Yeah.
Miroshnichenko, I believe.
and he said something about like, "Oh, you were born or you started playing hockey
He was
the year I
literally
was
born
drafted."
the
The
year
year he was drafted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
He was
is
not even,
so
like-
crazy.
Damn,
I
I'm
think
old.
if I'm I think he's
Right,
not even
yeah,
like 5
damn, I'm
months
old.
old at the time that Ovi
Yeah.
was drafted.
That's fucking crazy.
That's
that
so
insane?
crazy.
Mm.
Yeah.
But okay, so compared to Ovi, because yes, Crosby came in at the same year, but I don't know.
They came in a
And
year
maybe
apart.
it's my innate hatred or
A
a
year
year
apart,
apart.
that's
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're apart.
But they're about the same age.
Yeah.
They are,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, love Ovi. He looks significantly older than
God,
Crosby.
Yes, he
does.
does. He went
Which
gray
is
real
insane.
fast.
But I think
Like, it's
that's-
insane that he
yeah.
looks so old, but he plays still
so young.
relatively young. Like, the way he
look
hits
at both
people,
Crosby
still
and
has decent
fucking Ovi
speed.
still. They're like, no, we're not done.
they're beating the shit out of people, yeah.
Yeah.
And Crosby's gotten into like
yeah.
2 fights already this season.
Listen, Sid has aged
And
way
won
more
both.
gracefully than Ovi, and
Yeah.
I will give that to him.
Mm.
I'm going to say that it's the benefit of maple syrup and that Ovechkin's diet of Coke
Just
and Dr. Pepper
pure
and
fucking
vodka is
vodka.
I was
not
just
really
gonna say and
helpful.
vodka. We can't forget
Yeah.
the vodka.
That's what I'm going to say.
But so who do you think will be the next, like, because I look at it and look at like Wayne Gretzky played well into his age. Jaromir Jagr. Mike Modano played until he was older than he
Yager's
should
still
have been.
fucking playing.
Yager's still fucking
Yager's, yeah, still
Still
playing,
playing.
but that's
fine. Yeah.
Fun fact, he is still listed as an unrunrestricted free agent in the
He
NHL.
is.
I know.
Yeah.
Anybody
Still
could take
active
it.
player.
And he's
Yeah.
like, what, 54?
Yeah.
He's 51.
51,
He's
okay.
51.
You know what? I'll say
Um,
it. He does look better than Ovechkin at
Yeah, he
his
does.
at his
Yes,
age.
he does.
He looks better in so many ways.
Who's-
Sorry, Ovi.
So
have to
who's the
remember
next
my
player
boyfriend's
to
in the room
continue to go that
sometimes.
long? Are we
Yeah,
like
to go that long,
removing
I think-
Ovechkin and
Yeah, remove it, like, from, the...
if he doesn't
Yeah.
if they don't get hurt, Matthews and McDavid.
McDavid.
I don't know. I feel like there are some people that are just going to ultimately retire. I think Yager is still playing because
He
with
doesn't know
all
he
love and
doesn't know what
respect,
else to do. That is
He-
all hockey is all he knows.
he literally, yeah,
Hockey
he
is
has
life,
no
yeah.
life.
That's
other
his
than that.
life.
And
Yeah.
I think that some of our current players have more of a chance to do other things. I think we're going to see more
That's fair.
people go the PK Subban route. I think we're going to see more people ultimately decide that
Sorry.
it's time that they hang up the skates because they don't want to risk getting TBIs.
Yeah.
Yager is just, he's a different breed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would love
that's
to
very
say
true.
that we'll see Ovi do that, but I don't think he will. I think if once he retires, he's probably going to go back to Russia and coach. Would be my best
Yeah.
guess. Best guess.
I don't even know if he
Best
would
guess.
necessarily just go back to Russia. I could see him coaching here. Somewhere.
Well, and I mean, even think about like a player,
don't know.
even more
Maybe.
recently.
Maybe.
Teemu Solani played up until he was 43, and he had 50 points that season. Granted, we didn't make the playoffs, but he still had 50 points
but
in
he
his
still played,
final season. But
and I could see
Chelios.
see Obi going into his
Chris Chelios,
his 40. You know,
if Ovechkin and
how old was
Crosby,
Zdeno Chara?
Chara's 45, 46,
and he just retired like last year, or the year before.
If
So,
Crosby and
also up
Ovechkin continue to play at the high level that they're playing at now, I don't see why it's not realistic for them to play another 5 years.
But
absolutely.
I asked them above them.
Above them,
Yeah, so that's why I'd say
I think
probably McDavid or Matthews.
I think they're still too
Tyler
young for us
Seguin.
to make that call because they haven't had any
They're not even in their
real
30s yet.
massive injuries yet that we're like, oh, okay, that'll really, change the outcome.
James Van Riemsdyk is a perfect, because he's in his 30s now.
Yeah.
And he's
I
still.
forgot. I just had to look up how old Ovi was. He's a year older than I am.
Like 39 or something.
Yeah.
He's 38.
Yeah.
So
Van
Van Riemsdyk's 34. Obviously, just signing on with is signing with the Bruins in the offseason. I think that's going to be a place that helps reinvigorate his career.
Thornton?
Joe Thornton is 42.
He looks old as fuck.
Yeah,
so he's got to be up there. And I don't mean that disrespectfully.
He is 44 years old.
But like
friend of the podcast, Joe Thornton.
Shout out to free
agent.
To you. As much as I'm not, and it's obvious that I'm not a Sharks fan because I'm a Ducks fan. I would love to see Thornton do what Craig Anderson did, sign a one-day deal with the Sharks and retire a Shark.
Yeah.
I agree.
It feels obviously like
it feels right.
He played for the Bruins for a good amount of time, but he spent almost his entire career in San Jose. And that would be so fitting because he's 44 years old. He's still a free agent. But it's like I don't know. He has not, like, last year he had 10 points in 34 games. Like I want to see Joe. I'd love to see Joe keep playing just because it's Joe Thornton, but I don't want to see him playing just to continue playing.
Yeah.
Like, hang it up. He's got kids.
Can I just point out, Polino just scored his first goal of the season, and I'm super excited.
Oh,
yay!
I love Polino.
But yeah, no, I think time will tell, but. Maybe Matthews, if maybe McDavid, but again, like you said, the injuries barring, anything can happen.
Yeah. And also like personal life too. They might decide just because I can only imagine how hard it is to raise a family when you are traveling.
Right.
Most days from October to fucking April.
I mean, shit. Doesn't Fleury has what, like 3-4 kids now? 3?
Yeah, but I think they're all under school age.
But still, I can only imagine how tough that is.
Yeah.
Because you inevitably miss so much of their life, even if they are, they're with him in Minnesota and he gets to see him when he's home and they have home games and stuff. But your training schedules are insane.
Yeah.
Your travel schedules insane, especially when you do like week-long road stints because you're doing like a West Coast visit or whatever.
You do the waste.
That shit's hard.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a couple of long road trips, but I know, especially when the family, when the kids are young enough, sometimes, I mean, it's typically up to the wives because what they can handle and stuff. But
but I feel like that is a reason why we have seen some people retire in the past is because like I want to be home with my family more.
Yeah.
Like as much as I love hockey,
think Fleury will retire this year. Which makes me sad.
Yeah.
I do still hope he can beat Patrick Waugh. He's like 7 games away from beating his record.
Oh, he probably will. He probably will.
Yeah.
But like I've been telling my grandma, third ain't bad. So, having the third most games won already is not a bad thing. But yeah, it would be nice to see him.
Who's number 1, Marty? Is it Brodeur?
Brodeur.
Is it Marty Brodeur?
Brodeur, yeah. Thank you. Nothing sounded right.
But like on the topic of like younger players and, like older players, that actually leads us perfectly into our question of the week. Dee killed it with this one. Got to give her props on this. Yeah. Question of the week is, as young players continue to innovate in the sport, do we think it's time to say goodbye to older coaches? Dee, I will let you lead with this one, seeing as it was your question.
Yeah, sure. So the reason why I asked this question is because we do have a lot of coaches in the league currently who are either older in age or older in terms of like coaching mindset. Specifically the coach for the Flyers, and Babcock, who was just let go because of his quote unquote old school, which really for him was just harassment. But anyway,
literally just harassment.
Yeah. That was a little different than like the real physical play style that some coaches still do.
I'm also thinking of like another example, Peter Laviolette, who is not young necessarily. He has an old school mentality. In terms of how he plays. He's not developing young talent. He's not developing a system that really works with younger styles of play. And so we see these kids coming in who aren't getting the chances, who aren't being developed because they're stuck in a system like we were talking about earlier of someone who, they played in the league, but they played in the league fucking 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a different league. And so while they have been able to keep up by watching the sport and all that kind of stuff, they're not innovating on the same level because they cannot physically imagine the creativity needed to be able to conduct some of the Zegras moves, for example.
And understanding the speed of the sport now.
Exactly. So I think we're going to see, like, we have a new bench boss in Spencer Carberry who's having the opposite issue right now, where he is a younger style coach. He played more recently.
With all the old players.
But he has an old ass fucking team who they can't get their shit together because they're an old team who's used to these old playing styles, which they were trained in. I mean, much love to Bruce Boudreau. He has an older playing style. Much love to all of our past Caps coaches, really. But now we have this challenge of they're speaking two different languages and trying to come together. And it just made me think our young players aren't getting the chance to develop the game that they want to see going forward because our coaching style is so restrictive in some cases. And that's not obviously that's a broad generalization and there are exceptions to every rule. But I do think that I would love to see younger coaches. As much as I said earlier that I think PK is better suited as an on-air talent than a bench boss, I would love to see someone of PK's era as a bench boss.
Well,
because I think that they would be better prepared.
We see that in Montreal with Marty St. Louis.
100%.
Yeah.
But we're just not seeing it enough. And we're seeing there's still a gap because of the fact that there are so many players who are who are trained in that older style. And then you have so many players who are now trying to create their own. To me, it's a gap that we're seeing in the sport right now. And so I don't know how we bridge it other than by getting younger coaches in there and really trying to break the league in half and rebuild it and remold it, which is going to take time. But we can't do that if the only people who are getting job interviews and getting pushed on. I mean, again, we have Marty St. Louis, we have Spencer Carberry, but Peter Laviolette just got re-signed. Mike Babcock somehow got re-signed, even though he quickly got fucking kicked out.
Right.
You got Tortorella.
But that's what I'm saying.
Got,
you got Torts. Yeah, exactly.
Alain Vignon.
We have all these guys.
Yeah.
And in that the same thing, I love me some Dean Evanson, our head coach.
Yeah.
But like he was drafted in 82-ish and played until 99. And has that very different playing style. Now, he, I think, does a decent enough job at coaching this new... Because we talked about this last season in the podcast about how the NHL has changed in just playing style in general. It's less physical to an extent. I mean, there's still fights and all of that, but less like, oh, I'm going to knock your fucking head off and, give you a concussion because they're starting to realize concussion is bad.
Brain hit is bad.
Exactly.
Brain hurt, go bye-bye, But, I mean, I think Evanson as a current coach is a great example of somebody that's maybe borderline, I would say. To an extent. But I don't think Evanson, and again, I made this comment last week, I think it was, where like I can be very critical on my own team too, but I don't think he can give some of the younger players the oomph, the push that they need
Right.
because he's so far removed from what playing in the NHL is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously you got stuff with you've got now a new like era being ushered in with the Ducks. Like Greg Cronin never played hockey, or at least professionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
granted,
Which
he's 60 years old, but I think there is a place for those older coaches still,
Yeah.
because there are
Yeah.
older coaches that understand the newer style of play
Right.
and are
Yeah.
able to
Right.
easily coach that.
Right. But not all of them can.
Right. And I feel like we're at a crossroads now. We're at a generational crossroad. And I feel like this
Right.
happens every 20, 30 years or, what
Yeah.
have you, because the league is going through an unprecedented shift. It just in the level of talent, in the level of play itself, the speed, even the goal score, the goal numbers are higher than ever. And yeah, it's a, I don't want to say it's a problem, but it is a thing that teams are having to deal with, is either older teams or older coaches. And like the hardest part is trying to bridge that gap, right?
Yeah.
So I do agree that I would love to see more former players of the realm of like a Marty St. Louis and that crop of old players become coaches, because I think that's going to be so much more beneficial.
Yeah.
But I very much so agree with both of you. Do we feel like we're going to see this change soon?
I don't.
No.
I
I
don't.
think the league will still let coaches make their decision on when they want to exit.
Yeah.
To
I mean,
an
I don't
extent,
think
unless it's like the Babcocks of the world.
Right. I don't think the league will do anything about it, but even beyond the league being like, all right, insert name here, it's time for you to hang up your hat kind of thing. I don't think they would ever do that. But
They're
I don't
competitive
think
now.
I don't think that there are enough teams who have a progressive mindset to be like, let's hire a young gun.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are so focused, obviously, on the immediate win that they want to just try and get someone who has a verified record. The only way to have a record of any fucking worth is to have been doing this for years.
Right.
And so there aren't enough people like Anaheim who are willing to take a chance on somebody.
Right.
And that is why we won't see it sooner.
And shout out to Greg Cronin, New England guy. I'm here for that.
Right.
Yeah. But I think that as we see more teams get younger, as we see big names retire and things like that, as we see ownership changes, like what just happened with the Senators, I think that's when we're going to start to see these changes. So I'm not expecting it anytime soon.
Right.
Do you think, because I remember, back in the day, when teams did hire younger coaches, sometimes the fans would be critical enough and saying, oh, well, they're just coaching because they can't play anymore. Or they kind of shit on them because, they just wish they could still hang in the NHL.
I don't like
so
that, because there's such an art to coaching in itself.
Absolutely.
To say that they're coaching because they can't play anymore or they were never good enough to play is such a disservice and a disrespect to coaches overall, because that's a whole different way to look at the game. As someone who's played sports, and I mean, you guys have, obviously either played sports or been around, that stuff. That is a totally different mindset. You have to worry about your impact as opposed to
say shit like that. Like, I'm not saying that's my opinion.
No.
I'm just saying I remember when fans
absolutely
would say that about coaches. So do you think that we're going to see a shift in the league going to where fans and other outsiders, will say, are less having that critical mindset of like, they just wish they could still play?
I feel like we're at that.
Let's look at what they have to teach us because they did play in the league.
Yeah, I feel like we're at that time now because fans are a lot more educated than they've ever been.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
20 years ago, fans are pulling, nonsense out because they don't know the ins and outs. And obviously with the advancement of the internet to a bigger, thing that it is now, social media, availability to players and coaches through social media and YouTube and
Right.
platforms like that. Fans are
Yeah.
so educated now. So I feel like the
Yeah.
disrespect towards coaches and that sort of like mindset, I don't think it exists anymore. At least for like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, not casual fans, but for like the moderate to hardcore fans.
Or-
Right.
Yeah. That's what
And,
I'm seeing
you know-
out of my organization right now, is that people aren't saying, oh, well, Spencer is too young. He doesn't understand. He couldn't hack it in the league, and that's why he started coaching.
Yeah.
Instead, they're saying Carberry has to come into an organization that was beat up physically because they're fucking old, and also mentally because they were with a coach who, again, nothing against Peter Laviolette, but he was a nice guy. His
Yeah.
system
Yeah.
wasn't working for Washington. Because of that, he's having to deal with a shift in mindset. He's having to deal with getting his aging and ailing players back in to shape. And he's
Yeah.
having to deal with teaching a brand new fucking system in like realistically a relatively short period of time.
Right.
Like, yes, these are all professional athletes, but to break some of those cycles takes more than what they've been given so far. And that's the discourse I'm seeing. I haven't seen any of the, oh, he couldn't hack it, so now he's coaching and that's why our team sucks right
Which is
now.
a good thing. And I
Yeah.
think that is a good thing. We were talking about like how the internet and social media presence within the NHL can be negative for players coming into the league now, but I think that is a positive thing that we've seen. The wide knowledge base being open to the general public, we'll say,
Yeah.
Right.
is something that I think is good.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with both of you. I think that fans now are more willing to accept younger coaches too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Versus,
I think also because fans have gotten younger too. Like
Mhm.
when we think
Yeah, that's
back
true.
to when this conversation happened, hockey's demographic was above the age of what, 30 to 35?
It was
Like
higher
it
than
wasn't
that. Yeah,
all
average it was like
young
40
dudes.
up. Now it's
Well,
these kids are getting
our
into it.
generation is also the children of
those
fans.
hockey fans.
Right.
Yeah. So we grew
Yeah.
up with the
And-
sport,
But so
and I
we
feel
grew
like
up with it.
yeah, I feel like you're right. Our generation kind of ushered in the younger generation of fan.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
my son wouldn't be a hockey fan if it was. I mean, he might be, but I'm gonna, humble
Take
brag
credit
and
for
take
it. You're his
credit
mom.
for
Do
it.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely. He is a baseball fan because of his dad.
Yeah.
I just choked.
Hockey fan because of you.
Hockey fan because of me. So I think that because we are the children of those initial like big NHL fans,
Yeah.
that now we're ushering our children or our nieces and nephews or these younger fans and but yeah, I mean it even at the Wild games, like the general I think age, the average age of the fan is probably in their 30s still, maybe
Yeah.
beginning
But
to
when I
mid
think about
30s.
it being older, it's that they want to see someone who looks like them, right? So if the
Yeah.
demographic
Yeah.
is 50 years old, then yeah,
Right.
they want to see a bench boss that is also of their age and of their wisdom.
Right.
And then people like us who are in our 30s, we're like, no, like let the young ones have a chance. Like,
Right.
believe me, they can come up with something new because they're a lot closer to it than you
Well,
are.
Look at Andrew Brunette, who just got his first head coaching job this
Yeah.
in the off season, with Nashville.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I remember him playing. He played for the Wild, so of course I remember him. But like, he's one of those players that played for so many different organizations and is a name
Yeah.
people recognize. And as a player, and I think being recognized as a player and being recognized as a coach's name
Yeah.
are two very different things.
Well,
Yeah.
and even not even in hockey, but even like in football, look at
Hmm.
Sean McVay, the coach of the Los
Yes.
Angeles Rams. He is 37
Yeah.
years old,
Right.
and he has
Yeah.
won a Super
Which is-
Bowl.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing this shift all across, I think, sports. And I
Right.
think it is happening. It's slow. That's the problem. I think
It's slow.
it's really slow, and that's what's
Correct.
going to make it tough.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it is what it is. But no, I'm very much so intrigued to see, what the next couple years of the NHL looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
if you guys want to be a part of Question of the Week, if you want to submit one, hit us up in the comments, hit us up on social media, hit us up in Discord. We want to hear from you guys. Do we have any team specific updates for us? I know, like I said, we just won in OT, which is nice.
Which is awesome.
If we
actually, Dee, I'm sorry to point out your team, but your team is the only team out of the three of ours that actually lost tonight, right?
Yeah, I know.
Which, and I'm saying that shocked because the Wild tend to have like the whole, if we don't score first, we don't know how to win a game.
Yeah.
Thing.
We scored first, but it got taken back, and rightfully so.
Oh, that's frustrating. Yeah.
But it was
still,
the correct call.
Deflates your balloon. So. Yeah. But regardless if it's the right call or not, it's that deflating feeling of,
Yeah.
What was the final score of your game, G?
4-1.
Okay.
Yep.
I want to point out that Vegas is currently losing to Philly 2-1 in the first period.
But they did score first.
Yeah.
Not that is the end all be all, but I did happen to notice that they scored first and then I closed that tab. But the Wild won 7-4 tonight, which was awesome. Foligno got his first goal of the season. Hartman, I think, had 2 goals tonight. Carell had a couple of assists. He may have scored earlier on in the game while I was still driving, but and we'll soon here talk about injuries and stuff, and I'll kind of touch on some of the Wild players that we've been missing, but I think that the guys that we've brought up, at least for our organization, to fill in have been doing a decent job. I'm not overly disappointed in it,
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know how you guys feel for your injuries thus far.
I mean, it sucks that we don't have Drysdale. It sucks that we still don't have Alex Killorn, who we haven't had since preseason.
Vulcan Fingy.
And we're still on the same injury last year for Isaac Lundestrom. Like that's another big loss.
Achilles injuries are a pain.
Yeah. Like, does it suck? Yeah. But it is what it is, and it's early in the season to the point where I'm not super stressed out. And plus, Anaheim's 2-4. I'm not holding my breath for a wild card spot this year, but I would like our boys to be back and healthy.
Yeah.
Right. But do you think that the people that they've called up, sorry, Dee, have been doing not necessarily better, or at least holding up expectations compared to the people that came up last season for injured players?
I do, because we're starting 6 rookies currently.
Yeah.
That's the most in the NHL.
Right.
That's crazy. And they're producing. Pavel Michikov, who was number 2 overall pick in 2022. He's already been productive. He scored his first goal. Jackson Lacombe, who's a rookie, has also scored points. Leo Carlson, Bo Grew, who played a bunch last year. He's a rookie this season, full time with the big club. He's definitely someone that I look to see a lot from in the future. So I think Anaheim's future is bright with ridiculous amounts of young talent. But it's letting these guys get their feet wet in the show and understand the game, how it works, how it's played, that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. And to that same effect, I know, I saw that with the Wild, where when Boldy got hurt, we brought up a couple of different players, and then we sent Walker back down. I'm sorry, we just brought up Walker initially, and then we sent Walker back down, but we just brought up 2 other guys, Hunt and Lavat, I think is the name of the other kid. So I think, and because it is early in the season, it's a good opportunity to bring kids that are doing really well in our AHL organizations up to say, okay, show me what you got. Here's a chance. Because then later in the season, when it really matters, they know who to bring up. Potentially, anyway.
Yeah. So for my team specific update, it actually kind of touches all 3 of our teams because it's actually about Bruce Boudreau, who we all absolutely love. So you guys may not be familiar because it's not in your area. But we have an Oriental rug cleaning service through Joe Hadid, which the jingle is now playing incessantly in my head. And recently, well, I should say several years ago, like 12 or 13 years ago. Boudreaux starred in an ad for Joe Hadid. And this year they have decided to do a newer and a fresher version of it.
Oh God.
And so the gag behind it is that that Bruce is clumsily destroying his house, and his wife Crystal is like really not happy about it.
I mean, who would be?
Honestly, yeah, same.
Like,
It's directed and written by Wes Johnson, who is a popular voiceover actor,
yeah.
as well as the Caps PA announcer. He is actually in that new Bethesda game Starfield.
Oh
He's
yeah.
a character in that. He's like a
That's
pretty
cool.
popular dude. Yeah. Anyway, the it's like a small little script, but I sent the link to the video to you guys if you wanted to watch it. But he is just going through the house wrecking shit with his hockey stick, either intentionally or accidentally.
That is
And
spectacular.
his wife is like, seriously, Bruce?
Yeah.
So Bruce said that the script revolved around attributes that he was born with. He said they wanted to show how sloppy I am, which is really not out of character. I wrecked every room I ever lived in. It's mini sticks. We just move the furniture all over the place. And if you're on your knees, you're playing on the carpet and you get 2 small nets, 2 mini nets.
Yeah.
I'd call my
Yep.
friends over and we'd have games. Especially since we didn't have a real working basement, we had to find places to play mini hockey when the weather was not good or in the middle of winter, since he's
Yep.
from Toronto.
Yeah.
If we weren't outside, we were playing hockey inside. The commercial itself looks a little far-fetched because there's such a mess on the carpeting, but the playing in the living room was not as far-fetched as you would think. Because at one point he's literally playing hockey in his living room, but it's with
Yeah.
like food and drinks and stuff. It's really, really funny.
That is terrific.
That's so funny.
He said that he got yelled at a lot for putting dents in the drywall. You move your stick one way and then you got this little 3-inch gap sideways in the drywall, and it'd be like, wait till your dad gets home and you go, uh-oh, here we go again.
Right.
Yikes.
His dad knew the hockey package he was on, so he was usually actually less mad than his mom, though. The only place that was well outlawed was the dining room, where mom kept her china in a cabinet.
Oh yes.
But I did find ways to wreck everything else in the house. So it's just really cute. It is nice to see Bruce back. It's nice that he has maintained a relationship with the Hadids, who are season ticket holders. Obviously, they're a local small business. And so it was nice that they just called him up and they're like, "Hey, we want to do it again." And Bruce is like, "We'll be there.
Hell
Give
yeah.
us a time and
That's
place."
awesome.
One
That's
thing
awesome.
about the previous commercial was that they had a horse inside of the house, and it's Joe Hadid's house, by the way, that they filmed this in. They had a horse, and they thought it was gonna be like a little Shetland pony or something, but it was like an actual like friggin' horse that they somehow got into the house. And they were so terrified that he was gonna like destroy it just by being a horse in a fucking house. Nothing crazy, but he didn't.
That's so funny.
Luckily, he also did not shit in the house either, which was a fucking miracle. I don't know how that worked.
Oh,
but
the horse, not Bruce.
The
Yeah,
horse,
I was
the
like,
horse.
what?
For a second, I was like,
Yeah.
why is that
No.
a miracle? Does Bruce
The
have
horse-
issues we don't know about?
No, the horse did not shit himself, but he did eat its weight in Doritos off the floor. And
That tracks.
Wes Johnson said it came super close to being a hazmat situation.
Oh no.
Like they
That's so
say, where
funny.
there's smoke, there's fire. And Joe's catching a lot of smoke, standing behind that horse, waiting for his cue, because I guess he was going to come in with like to catch the
Catch the poop.
the job. It just never happened.
That's
Um,
terrific.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So anyway,
God.
if you guys want to see that, definitely go search it up. It is on YouTube, the Bruce Boudreaux, Joe Hadid commercial. We love Bruce. I remember when it aired, like all of Cap's Twitter was like, "Oh my God, Bruce is back! Let's go!" Because he's such a fucking favorite. So I wanted to share that with
He's
you.
a freaking treasure.
He
no
is a
matter
gem.
what
He is a true
team
gem.
he's doing stuff for, like,
Yeah.
and we talked last season, but he's coached for all 3 of our teams. Like,
Hmm.
He's led all 3 of our teams to the playoffs.
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. No.
yeah, like it's just phenomenal.
The-
What
the-
a
really
great
is.
The
fucking
sport of
person.
hockey is
Yeah.
better with Bruce Boudreaux.
Yeah,
Agreed.
It's just hands down.
it
Yeah.
is. It is.
Danger.
Yeah.
Do we have some naughty boys and some hurt boys?
Yeah. So for Naughty Boys, we have Rasmus Anderson is the only suspension, and it's a big one.
It is a good one.
He got suspended for 4 games for charging Patrick Laine. I just fucking we just talked about this. Laine. So he got charging Patrick Laine. So he got suspended 4 games, which, looking at this, because at first I was like, there's no way that the, total for what's been sacrificed is correct. 4-game suspension for him is $94,791.67 for Rasmus Anderson.
Yeah.
For that one.
Did you guys see the hit?
It's nasty. They showed it at the Wild game.
It is. Yeah. Oh.
And
4 games are warranted.
Yeah, needless to say, Laine did not play today because we just played Columbus.
No,
he did not play.
We'll talk about it in a minute. But the other thing with Patrick Laine that I wanted to talk about is I saw, and I think it was released from NHL.com. I saw it on Facebook because, I'm old. But for every point, and at first I thought it was goals, I think is what I told Chris, but it's every point he scores this season, he is donating $1,000 to go towards men's mental health services.
What a legend.
Which is phenomenal.
Yeah,
what
awesome.
A guy. And I just thought that was really cool, and I was like, well, hey, happens to be that he's one of the topics, not for the bad reason. So I wanted to bring that up because, that's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Agreed.
But, so for our Hurdy boys, we'll see. So for Anaheim, we have Brock McGinn, which is updated. As of today, he is on IR, expected to be out until at least October 26th. So, and it does just say lower body.
Mm-hmm.
We do still have Isaac Lundstrom, which was, again, updated today. Expected to be out until at least February 9th. So we might get to see Lundstrom play this season, though.
I
he
hope
does have that
Lundstrom
Achilles injury left
season.
over from last year.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Right. But because it was updated today, maybe that was... I honestly don't remember because I'm not on my normal PC what it said last week, but I'm hoping that was the change. Jamie Drysdale, updated today, lower body injury, expected to be out until at least October 26th. We still have Alex Killhorn, which we talked about, and Chase DeLeo, which we talked about last week. For Arizona, not me smiling at the first name on the list. Jason Zucker is currently out with a lower body injury until at least October 30th. I love, like, Minnesotans now love to hate Zucker, and there's a whole soapbox I won't get on. Michael Carcone is out with an upper body injury listed currently as day-to-day. And then we still have Jacob Voracek and Shea Weber who are out. Most likely for the rest of this. For Boston, we have Milan Lucic.
Milan Lucic.
Yep.
What?
Milan Lucic.
Milan Lucic. No sense, but okay. He is out with an ankle injury until at least October 26th, so a couple of days. For Buffalo, we have Devon Levi out with a lower body injury until the 27th, and Jack Quinn with an Achilles injury. He is listed as IR, expected to be out until at least October 29th, so I'm guessing it's not a torn Achilles, or maybe it was, because that was updated October 10th. I just don't remember saying his name before, but I don't always pay the best attention. Shocking, I know. For Carolina, we have Brett. Yes.
Pesci.
Pesci? Like Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Different. Brett Pesci. Out with a lower body injury until, expected to be out until October 26th, a couple of days. Andrei Svechnikov is out with a knee injury. He is listed as IR, expected to be out until October 26th. And then still Ryan Suzuki, which we talked about last week. But he may be out, or maybe back by the end of this week. We'll see. For Chicago, we have Colin Blackwell is out with a groin injury, expected to be out until at least October 30th, but he is listed as IR. And then Colton Dock is also expected to be out until at least the 30th. That was updated today. Taylor Hall is out on IR with a shoulder injury, expected to be out until at least November 4th. For Colorado, there's nobody new. We've already talked about Pavel Francouz, Chris Wagner, and Gabriel Landeskog, so we won't bring them up again. For Columbus, we have Igor
Chenikov. You were saying it
Chinikov.
right.
Okay, it is
Yeah, you're doing it
Chinikov.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is out with a back injury, expected to be out until at least October 30th. And then Patrick Laine is with that upper body injury from that hit. Expected to be out until at least the 28th. So hopefully by next week's games, we'll
That's
see him
good.
back.
Yeah.
Although after looking at that hit, I think we all three can agree take the time you need, bud, to get better.
Yeah,
Don't
100%.
come back any sooner than you need to.
Yeah, agreed.
For Detroit, we have Klim Kostin.
Mhm.
Kostin. Undisclosed, riding that syphilis bus, my friends. For Detroit, we also have Jeff Petrie, out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least the 26th. And then we still have Robbie Fabry and Matt Luff, which we talked about before. Matt may be back as soon as the 30th of October, though. We'll see. For Edmonton, we have Brady Stonehouse, also riding that syphilis bus. On IR, expect to be out until at least November 2nd. You have to stop reacting like that, or I'm going to laugh every time I say it. As well as our dear friend McJesus, with an upper body injury, not expected to return until at least November 2nd. So that does suck for Edmonton fans.
That really does
We
suck.
hate to see it with a talent like McDavid. Again,
Yeah.
take the time you need. For Florida, we have Alexander Barkov. He's out with an illness currently, expected to be out the rest of this week. It says the 28th. Jonah Gadvoyich? Gadjevich. Jonah Gadjevich is out with an upper body injury. He is listed as IR, expected to be out until at least November 10th. Sam Bennett, out with a lower body injury, also listed as IR, expected to be out until at least October 28th. And then we still have Aaron Ekblad and Brandon Montour, both not expected to be back until December with shoulder injuries. For LA, we still have Victor Arvidsson, a back injury, still expected to be out until early to mid-November. For Minnesota, we have a lot of updates on these. So Matt Boldy is still out, expected to be out until the 29th of this week. Jared Spurgeon is still out, expected to be out until at least the 27th. They are both out with upper body injuries. And then Alex Goligoski, lower body injury, expected to be out until at least November 9th. He apparently got hurt in a practice. I think it was that he took a puck to an ankle and was seen in a walking boot. So wishing our good old Goose, he's a Minnesota boy, born in Minnesota as well.
Yeah.
So we hope he recovers quickly. For Montreal, we have Caden Goulet. I prefer Ghoul, especially because Halloween's around the corner. But he is out with a upper body injury, expected to be out until at least October 26th. We have David Savard out with a hand injury, listed as IR, expected to be out until at least December 7th. So safe to assume something broke in that case. Chris Weidman out with a back injury, expected to be out until at least October 30th. But he is listed as IR. That was updated on Saturday, October 21st. So we'll see. Kirby Doc, who this was updated on the 21st as well, it's out with a knee injury, listed on IR. We're going to miss probably the rest of the season. It says he's not expected to be back until September 15th.
That's crazy.
Oof.
Yeah. Carey Price is still out. He was updated on October 10th. But he is on IR, expected to be out until at least July 1st. So the rest of this season as well. And Christian Dvorak is still out as well. For Nashville, we have Cody Glass out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least October 28th. And Luke Shen is still hurt, updated on the 21st of this month with that lower body injury, still listed as IR until, expected out until at least November 9th. For New Jersey, we have Thomas Nosek. Lower body injury listed on IR, expected to be out until at least October 25th, so another couple of days, potentially. Colin Miller, also listed as undisclosed, which we know means that syphilis bus, expected to be out until at least October 27th. The Islanders lost Scott Mayfield. Today, the 24th, is when it was updated. He has a leg injury, expected to be out until at least October 26th. I'm assuming maybe that's when they expect an update on him, but we'll see by the time next week comes around. For Ottawa, you have Artem Zub. Great name.
That is a great name.
Updated yesterday with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least October 26th. For Philly, we have Rasmus Ristolainen.
Rasmus Ristolainen. Right. Such a tongue twister.
Also a great name.
Oh, that's a fantastic name.
It is. It is a great name. Updated today, undisclosed injury. He is listed as IR, expected to be out until at least November 1st. Mark Stahl is out with an upper body injury, listed as IR, expected to be out until at least November 18th. And Ryan Ellis is still out with that back injury. It was updated July 1st, and he is expected out until at least July 1st. Go figure.
That's a speedy recovery.
Speedy! Super fast. For Pittsburgh, we still have Will Butcher out. Undisclosed injury, he's listed as IR until... expected out until at least October 30th.
There you go.
And John Ludwig, upper body injury, he is just listed as day-to-day. For San Jose, we have Jacob McDonald. Undisclosed injury, he is listed as IR, expected to be out until at least the 26th of October. Mikael Granlund is also out with a lower body injury, IR, expected to be out until at least October 26th. As is Logan Couture, expected to be out until at least October 26th, so listed as IR. For Seattle, we have Andre Burakovsky. Thank you.
Former Cap. Much love.
I've heard of Andre quite a bit. My brain just went.
Love him. Little cousin.
But he is significantly hurt. He has got an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least December 2nd. Mm-hmm. As of right now, not listed as IR. I would expect that to change.
I would too.
Also, still Brandon Tanev, who's out with that lower body injury. This was updated last Friday, though. He is expected to be out until at least November 13th. Oof. And I don't think last week we had a potential date on it.
We did not.
Okay. For St. Louis, we have Josh Jacobs, undisclosed, as is his teammate Anton Malmstrom, undisclosed. Both are on IR, both expected to be out until November 1st. Wonder where they were together.
Suspicious.
From the same team. I wonder what bus they were riding. For Tampa Bay, we have Tyler Mott, still out with that upper body injury, potentially potentially back, I should say, as soon as Thursday this week. Andre
Vasilevsky.
I don't know why my tongue is just not cooperating with these names, but he is still out with that back injury. Logan Brown also out with the undisclosed injury. He is on IR, expected back no sooner than November 4th at this time. Toronto, nobody knew. We still have Matt Murray, Connor Timmins, and Jake Muzzin, who we've talked about before. Looks like Matt Murray's not expected back until May. Connor Timmins, potentially November 4th. And Jake Muzzin, September 15th of next year.
That's right. I was trying to talk to you when my fucking mic was muted.
Oh, no.
The thing with Jake Muzzin is they're not sure if he's going to play again. So it's one of those, that's one of those things where it's like, at his
maybe another
age,
Carl Hagelin type of situation.
Yeah, and I hope not, because like Muzzin's still got some left in the tank.
But
he's a younger kid, isn't he? Like
he's in his mid-30s.
Is he mid? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was closer to 30. For Vancouver, we have Teddy Bluger, who is out currently with a bruise where no one knows. Expected to be out until at least October 27th. Chris just scratching his head. And then we still have Guilherme Brisebois and Tucker Pullman out as well. Tucker Pullman is still anticipated to be out the rest of the season. He had that head injury last year. We'll have to see if he is ever able to come back. For Vegas, we have Isaiah Seville. He is out with an undisclosed injury. on IR, expected to be out until at least the 30th. Also for Vegas, we have Alex Petrangelo, still out with that upper body injury. It did get updated as of today. He is expected to be out until at least October 27th, so hopefully by the end of this week. We also still have Robin Leonard, who is out from last season, but this got updated today with that hip injury. He is still listed as IR, but could be back as soon as November 2nd. So we'll have to see if Leonard is able to come back.
That's like a week away.
Yeah.
That is, yeah.
That was way more aggressive, but yeah. Also still out for Vegas is Zach Whitecloud with that upper body injury, but could be back as soon as November 4th. So that's also good news for Vegas. I suppose.
Not like they need them right now.
Right, exactly. They're doing fine without them, but
I don't think they're missing Petrangelo or Whitecloud right now, though.
Yeah. Or Leonard for that. I mean, we talked
Leonard
enough
didn't really
about their
play at all
goalies
last
earlier,
year,
but
so
yeah,
they really aren't
like
missing Leonard.
For Washington, we have Charlie Lindgren. Out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least October 27th, but he is placed on IR currently.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Dowd, also out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least October 27th. Joel Edmondson, out with that hand injury that we talked about last week, could be back as soon as November 8th. And Max Pacioretty, right?
Pacioretty.
Yeah.
I don't remember if he's the one that played for the Wild.
He didn't.
No.
Okay, but we had somebody with a name very similar to that. That was Pacioretty. So I think that's why my brain goes there. But Max Pacioretty is still out with that Achilles injury, but again, could be back as soon as November 8th.
We'll see.
We'll have to wait and see. And lastly, finally, for Winnipeg, we have Gabriel Velarde out with that knee injury we talked about last week. He is listed on the IR, expected to be out until at least November 22nd.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, surprisingly, though, there aren't too many, long-term injuries that we're seeing yet, which is a good thing.
It seems to be players from last season that we all kind of expected to still be hurt this year. You know?
Right. Or they're injuries where it's no surprise that,
that's going to take some
especially
time.
if it's something that's required surgery, it's not shocking that they're going to miss the rest of the season or the majority of it. So, but yeah, hopefully people will continue to stay relatively healthy. I mean, all things considered.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So I think this leads us to our final topic, which would be obscure NHL player of the week. This week we have a gentleman by the name of Steve Kelly. Steve Kelly, born in Vancouver, British Columbia, was drafted 6th overall in 1995 by the Edmonton Oilers. He spent a mixture of his time between multiple teams, playing for the Oilers, Lightning, Devils, Kings, and the Minnesota Wild, respectively, in the NHL. 149 total games, so he had a little more than a cup of coffee in the show. 9 goals, 12 assists, 83 penalty minutes. But y'all, this man had an AHL career that he could still be prosecuted for the amount of penalty minutes he has. 390 total games in the AHL, 102 goals, 217 assists, 764 penalty minutes.
He got penalized every fucking game.
This man had double penalty minutes. He had more penalty minutes than he played games.
Yeah.
By double almost.
Oh my word.
That's insane.
Phenomenal.
Oh, shit.
Phenomenal.
Also playing
Steve Kelly.
I know. Also had a little stint in the DEL, which is the German Hockey League. 134 games, 30 goals, 82 assists, and 582 penalty minutes. Y'all, this man was a fucking menace on the ice.
Yeah.
Apparently. I should remember him. He only played for the Wild for a year.
Yeah.
But I'm trying not me like looking at his Wikipedia. Um, but yeah. Oh, and he played for the Houston Aeros, which is our AHL team.
Yep.
So maybe
Okay.
I wonder if he ever actually played, if it was just our organization.
Fun fact, from 1999 to 2000, he played one game for the New Jersey Devils, in which they won the Stanley Cup. In that playoffs, in 10 games, he had 4 penalty minutes.
Fun fact, the New Jersey Devils have never been swept in the playoffs.
That is true.
Interesting.
That is true.
Random fact for your day.
There you go.
But yeah, no, he retired in 2009, 2010 season, while playing in the Central European Hockey League, or what's now called Ice Hockey League.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it. Where he played 2 games. He had a goal, 2 assists, and 2 penalty minutes. So my man went out in the box.
Love it.
Love to see it.
Actually, after retiring, he is now a police officer in Calgary.
Awesome.
What a turn of events.
I know.
I mean, he spent enough time in...
Spent enough time in the sin
bin.
Yeah. Spent enough time in the sin bin.
Yeah, in hockey jail.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And thank you, Steve, if you ever hear this, for your service, both in the AHL, NHL, and as a police officer.
Of course.
See that.
But
Wait, is he with the Mounted Royal Police or just...
No, he is with the Calgary Police Service. Yeah, he's not a
I was hoping he was a
RCMP
Mountie.
constable.
Mountie.
Yeah.
Dude, shout out to Mounties. They're like the coolest.
Mounties always get their man.
Mounties are awesome. Mounties do always get their man. But yeah, shout out Steve Kelly as our obscure NHL player of the week.
Love it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I think that's about all the chaos that we have for you guys.
Yes.
Hold on, wait, let me check.
Yeah,
that's all I have.
That's it.
I have no more fucks to give.
2 games left in Frozen Frenzy currently. The Kings and Coyotes are playing. That game is 4-3 Kings in the third, and in the second period, Philadelphia is still leading 2-1 over Vegas.
2-1.
How frequently?
This is going to be the night they lose because Chris decided that we wanted to talk about it this week.
We wanted to talk about it.
So they're going to break. They're not going to go 7 games. It's going to end tonight at 6.
But also, shout out to
Philly,
Detroit. No, the Red Wings. They're
the
like
Red Wings.
5-1.
Yeah.
I don't remember if they won tonight, but prior to tonight's game, they were 5-1, which
I'm
is
telling
fucking
you,
awesome.
adding Alex DeBrincat to that top line with Dylan Larkin. There we go. We got there.
I was going to say, with that one guy that plays hockey for a living.
My brain, it took me a minute. I'm like, who the fuck? I wanted to keep saying Larson, but I knew that wasn't right. No, with having DeBrincat on that top line with Dylan Larkin has actually added such a great presence to that team. So good on them.
Shout out to Detroit for doing some real work on rebuilding their team.
What are our...
I mean, we talked about them last season, so...
Oh, yeah. What are our parting thoughts of Frozen Frenzy?
Love it. Keep it. Do it next year.
Hell yeah.
I think keeping it at least once a season. I mean, it's exhausting for, I'm sure, the players that,
But I'd love to see it more than once.
Especially if they're players that like to watch
year.
other organizations.
I'd love to see it maybe twice a year. Once before the All-Star game and once after the All-Star game.
They'll have to name it something thaw. Because spring, you know what I mean?
That would be cool.
Spring.
That would be super cool.
I'll workshop a name for you, NHL.
Yeah, we got you, NHL.
Yeah, we'll write a contract.
If they put thaw in their name, know that they stole it from me.
Yeah, know 100%. That the NHL is watching and they're just straight ripping that shit off.
Ripping it off of me.
Trademarked.
If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, let you know anytime we upload new content. If you guys want to follow us on our socials, they're going to be in the comments, and they're going to be in the description below. Not the comments, but the description. You guys know what I meant.
Yeah. That's
Let us know what you guys think of Frozen Frenzy in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you want to see it more, and let us know if your team won.
Yeah.
Any parting words before we go?
So
No?
No.
Well, as always, you guys, thank you so much, and we will see you, mother puckers, next week in the Face-Off Circle.